Hey guys, Lucas here again for another movie review. Today I am in a different house than I usually am. I'm usually um, in the other room at my other house, or if I'm at this house, I'm in another room. But since the lighting in that room is continuing to suck, I am in here. But yesterday I went out and saw Horrible Bosses, the very anticipated movie from director Seth Gordon, who's directed the documentary King of Kong, which I believe is about the Donkey Kong game. Four Christmases, and I don't really know what else besides those two. And I haven't seen either of those. But Horrible Bosses has a huge cast. It stars Jason Bateman, Jason Sudeikis, Charlie Day, Jennifer Aniston, Kevin Spacey, Colin Farrell, and Jamie Foxx as well as in a cameo role. And Horrible Bosses has a very funny premise as well. It's about three guys played by Jason Bateman, Charlie Day, and Jason Sudeikis, and they all hate their bosses. Jason Bateman's boss is Kevin Spacey, who is just a psychopath and is a sociopath and is afraid that his wife is cheating on him, so he takes it out on all of his employees. Two is Jennifer Aniston, who is Charlie Day's boss, who is a sex crazed man eater, um, and she is just nuts, but still not a bad boss to have, in my opinion. Um, and three is Jason Sudeikis' boss, who is Colin Farrell with a bald cap and a comb over, and he is a cokehead, kind of drug addict guy that just doesn't care about his dad's business at all. He's just trying to run it into the ground because I guess him and his dad, played by Donald Sutherland, had daddy issues, so to speak. So these guys concoct this plan to kill all their bosses, and they meet up with Jamie Foxx, who is played by, his name in the movie is Motherfucker Jones, and he gives them idea to kill each other's bosses because they have motives, and people will probably find out that the bosses have been killed by those three guys. So, as you could tell, the plan's probably not going to go as planned, and a lot of crazy stuff happens. Now, Horrible Bosses, I will say straight off the bat, is my favorite comedy of the year, and I think it is a very, very fun, enjoyable movie, but I do not think it is a fantastic comedy, and I will say why. But I will say the things I liked about it. One is that huge cast is all great. There's not a weak link in the bunch. Colin Farrell, who's not in it very much, but he really lights up the screen when he's in it. Jennifer Aniston is hot as hell in this movie, and really fun to watch her cuss and say all this crazy stuff out of her mouth, and just kind of be playful and not really care and just having fun with this role. And Kevin Spacey was, Kevin Spacey as the boss. He's really good and really scary. But all the cast, the three main cast, Jason Bateman, Charlie Day, and Jason Sudeikis, were really, really funny. They had perfect chemistry and they really played off each other a lot. And you could tell that a lot of this stuff was improvised. So I really appreciated these guys' kind of just their camaraderie was really fun to watch. And I just really appreciate that because you don't find that a lot in comedies nowadays. And also, what I liked about the movie was that its premise was just really funny. The premise of the movie just is so wacky and so out there. It almost is like a dark comedy, but it never goes to that dark level, even though it could have. And I thought it balanced the two really well. And I just thought the premise was original, and it actually had a premise, unlike Bad Teacher, even though I did like that movie a lot. And I did think that this one had the best of both worlds. It had good jokes and an interesting and funny premise. Um, and also, the ending of this movie is really clever. There's a lot of twists and turns in the last 20 minutes, so that makes it really unpredictable, which is nice to see in comedies. Because comedies, you pretty know, for the most part what's going to start, what's going to end, what's going to be in the middle for the most part, and it's just really about how funny it is. But this one, there's a lot of twists and turns, a lot of stuff you don't expect, and a lot of clever things, and the ending is really funny. I just really enjoyed the ending and everything. The way they tied it up was very clever. And the last thing I want to talk about is Charlie Day. That guy is so funny. I don't really like the show. It's always fun, Sunny in Philadelphia. I find him funny on it, but I don't find the show that funny. But he was so funny in this movie. He made me laugh the most, and he made me laugh hard. I mean, there was a thing involving a guy they hire for wet work, and you'll see where that goes if you see the movie, and that is hilarious, and that's all Charlie's Day fault when you see that scene, what happens there. And there's a scene where Charlie Day is singing the Ting Tings "That's Not My Name," and oh god, that made me laugh out loud. I just chuckle thinking about that. So Charlie Day really stole the show for me, and it was nice because I was afraid that he might be kind of annoying, judging about what other people said. But there's some things about Horrible Bosses that prevent it from being a fantastic comedy for me. While I did like all of the bosses, I thought two of the three were underused. Jennifer Aniston, I thought was very underused, and I thought there could have been a little bit more stuff that they did with her character because she's kind of brought up in the beginning and she has stuff going on, but then they kind of forget her in the middle, and they just kind of bring her back in the ending. And I was kind of sad about that because I wanted to see what her character was going to do because she was just really funny and really outrageous whenever she was on screen. And Colin Farrell also was very funny, but his character leaves it for a certain reason in the middle of the movie, and I thought he was really funny, and he was very underused. I mean, he was even more underused than Jennifer Aniston. He was in like 3 scenes, but I thought that it was just funny to see Colin Farrell with this American accent, with this bald cap and this stupid comb over, and his head just looks like a huge peanut. And it was just funny to see him on screen because he's a guy that a lot of people think is good looking in real life. So it's funny to see him kind of make fun of that in this movie, and I wish he was in it more. So those two things kind of bothered me. Also, I thought that the movie started off very, very slow and not funny at all. Like the first 10 minutes of this movie, I'm like, oh god, I hope this picks up. I mean, there was some stuff that was kind of chuckle worthy, but I'm like, oh, I hope this doesn't take the tone of the movie, or I hope the movie's funnier for the rest of it because this is not starting off too good. But after the first 10 or 15 minutes, it does kick into gear a little bit. You just gotta wait for the second portion of the movie and the kind of the middle to get the big belly laughs that you're probably waiting for. But overall, I did enjoy Horrible Bosses. I think there is some things, like I said, that prevents it from being a great comedy, but so far it is the best comedy of the year, and I definitely recommend you seeing it. And I'm going to give it a positive 3.5 out of 5 rating. And also expect a review for Friends with Benefits because I saw an advanced screening of that yesterday as well. So that review will be up shortly. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'm just me 7388.